Hey, good afternoon. I would like to demonstrate the doorway hamstring stretch. There are many ways to stretch the hamstring, and the doorway hamstring stretch is just one of those, but there are several advantages of that method, and we'll cover those in this video. I'm actually not going to demonstrate it with a doorway. It's just more convenient for our purposes to use this power rack here, but it can serve as a representation of a door frame, and so I think you'll get the idea of how to do that. The two big advantages of the doorway method of hamstring stretching is, firstly, that it protects the back. Because you're laying on the floor, that floor protects your back and you don't put any stress on the back, and all the focus is on stretching the hamstring. The other advantage of the doorway hamstring stretch method is that it provides a frame of reference. There's two reference points. One is the floor, the other is the door frame. They're at 90-degree angles to each other. So that's a 90-degree angle that you can use then to reference how far you're stretching. If your butt is all the way against the door frame, or in this case the power rack, you know that you have a 90-degree angle at your hip. And so I'll just demonstrate that and get into some of the other details of the stretch. So I would recommend, if you have reasonable hamstring flexibility, to start with your butt right against the door frame, or in this case the power rack, and so get that nice 90-degree angle, but with the other knee bent. And that will put your hip, your pelvis rather, in a slightly posteriorly rotated position to start out with. And once you're situated like that, you want to get your knee into full extension, and then slowly straighten out the other knee. And what that does is that causes the pelvis to rotate forward, to anteriorly rotate, and that puts a little bit more of a stretch on the hamstring. You can feel that as you go, as you straighten out that knee. So you can use that opposite side knee bending or straightening to modulate how much stretch you have on your hamstring. And even if you can't get your butt all the way against the door frame, or your position, your reference position initially, even if you have to start out further back, you can still use that opposite knee bend and knee straightening to modulate how much tension you put on the hamstring. So I'm going to go back to the position where my butt is fully against this power rack here, with my knee fully straight, and I'm going to go ahead and straighten out my opposite knee. So that puts my hamstring on a pretty good stretch right there, and I can feel that, and I can just hold that position then for anywhere from 30 seconds to 45 seconds. The other consideration with this stretch is to consider the fact that the hamstring muscles also assist in hip rotation. There are hamstring muscles that do external and also internal. So in order to target those specific muscles, it's best to bias the hip in slight internal rotation and then external rotation. So the internal rotation is usually tighter on most people, and that's true with my leg as well. It doesn't go as far as external. But with my foot turned in, that's actually, with the knee straight, that's hip internal rotation. I can use my hands just below the knee to kind of rotate that hip inward to turn it in, and then also simultaneously keeping full knee extension on there. And then you just maintain that static stretch for the appropriate amount of time. And likewise with the external rotation bias, the same thing. You kind of get your hands just toward your body, side of the kneecap. Go into full extension of the knee and also rotation. And keep it ideally all along your doorway or your squat rack or whatever else you're using. So that's the doorway hamstring stretch. And I would just put in a plug for, if you're at the gym and you do have the ability to use a power rack like this, you can actually use a belt to belt your thigh so that you have a full knee extension, and then you can use another strap to do ankle dorsiflexion, which also helps with extension at the knee. But that's covered in another video that I do, where I do a stretch that uses a board. You can also use the squat rack for that. So that, in a nutshell, is the doorway hamstring stretch.